They say an apple never falls far from the tree, but what if this one did? What if everything you thought you knew about family, loyalty, and destiny was about to be turned upside down by a single, unexpected choice? Long ago, in the quiet village of Eureka, where the red earth met the sky, and beautiful golden sunsets were the gifts of the land, there lived a woman named Leah Smith. Her name was whispered on the winds and carried through the market, for she was known far and wide, not just for the strength in her heart, but for the way she carried herself with the wisdom of the ancients. Leah was a devoted mother of 4, her days filled with the laughter and chaos that came with raising her children. Her husband, Fidel, had been the anchor of their family, a loving father and a supportive partner. However, fate had a cruel twist in store for Leah and her children. On a fateful evening, tragedy struck the Smith family. Fidel, a vibrant and robust man, who had always lived for his family, was unexpectedly involved in a car crash, leaving Leah devastated, and their 4 children orphaned and with none to care for them. The grief that enveloped their home was as palpable as the shadows that danced on the walls. Leah and Fidel were known for their good hearts and human kindness despite their wealth. None could have seen something like this coming. Of course, her husband, a father, a friend, and the hero of her children was no more within the surface of this earth. Leaving Leah and her kids without a clue on what path to follow since the family's backbone was no more. In the midst of her mourning, Leah was confronted with an unexpected and heart-wrenching revelation. Fidel's family, a wealthy and influential clan with deep-rooted traditions, had decided that Leah was no longer worthy of their name. They accused her of bringing misfortune to their once prosperous family and deemed her unfit to inherit any of Fidel's assets. But, why? Leah asked, powerless. However, they did care less about their deceased relative because his death was somehow bringing in an opportunity for wealth and perhaps power. On the wake night. For the first time since she got married, Leah witnessed her husband's broken and greedy family. Truth be told, she had heard rumors about her in-laws' maneuvers, but she never believed once and never even imagined that will ever be a victim of their evil acts. That night, she found herself stripped of all her possessions, her bank accounts were frozen, and the house that had once been filled with warmth and laughter was now cold and hollow. The Smiths' family estate, a sprawling mansion that had been in Fidel's lineage for generations, was mercilessly seized by his relatives. The orchestrator of this whole idea was Fidel's brother, who was filled with envy, greed and hatred towards his younger brother. Leah was left with nothing but the clothes on her back and the weight of her grief. Despite all these things happening, Leah wished it was all a dream, and cried to God to wake her up from whatever was going on at the time so that her children will not suffer. Leah could not believe her eyes, and she wondered, how could Fidel come from such a family? No, perhaps he was adopted, she thought. She quickly waved off that thought with the confidence that if it was true, her loving husband would have told her. As if that was not enough, with nowhere to turn, Leah and her 4 children were unceremoniously thrown out onto the unforgiving and cold streets of Eureka. The once welcoming community now watched in disbelief as the woman who had been an integral part of their town was reduced to homelessness and without a king to protect her fortress of solitude. Determined to shield her children from the harsh reality they now faced, Leah gathered her strength and resilience. She sought refuge in a dilapidated shelter, where she juggled odd jobs to scrape together enough money to feed her children. After all, Fidel's family had done more than enough to Leah and her children, as if they did not share the same blood with their nieces and nephews. Richard's sisters and mother will still find a way to locate Leah wherever she was working at, just to have an opportunity to humiliate her, as she was no longer protected by her loving husband. Leah suffered in silence all the time because she could not bring herself to tell her children how broken her heart was, because of their dad's family, as to not instill hatred in them. They were too young to understand anything. Leah's children could not go to school for a whole scholar year because her little salary was only enough for daily feeding and first aid, in case any of them fell sick at any given moment. As Leah's fight seemed more difficult because of her in-laws, the townspeople, witnessing her plight, began to rally around her, offering support and extending a helping hand. Word spread like wildfire through the town about Leah's plight. Eureka was a place where neighbors looked out for one another, where bonds of friendship were as unbreakable as the mountain ranges that surrounded the town. As news of Leah's predicament reached the ears of the townspeople, an outpouring of support began. Amazing, right? As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, Leah's unwavering love for her children and the newfound community support breathed life back into her weary spirit. Slowly, she pieced together a semblance of stability for her family. Nobody asks to be in this kind of situation, much less Leah, but her resilience and determination was stronger than any wealth or assets that were taken from her. As long as she saw a smile on her children's faces every day, she kept going. After a long time of suffering from one job to another in order to bring food to the table, Leah could not believe what was happening as local businesses donated essentials, and families opened their homes to Leah and her children. The school organized a fund to help with immediate needs, and the townspeople, united by a shared sense of empathy, started a campaign to restore Leah's access to her husband's assets. Against all odds, Eureka became a haven of support for Leah. Lawyers within the community offered pro bono assistance, fighting tirelessly to overturn the unjust actions taken by Fidel's family. The town held fundraisers, organizing events that brought together people from all walks of life. As the community rallied, the once isolated Leah found herself surrounded by a circle of friends and well-wishers. The importance of a supportive community became evident in the transformative journey of this helpless mother and her children. They were no longer alone, facing the challenges of life with resilience and courage instilled by the unwavering support of Eureka. Through the collective efforts of the community, justice prevailed. Legal battles were won, despite all the cards pulled by Fidel's family, and Leah regained access to her rightful assets. The outpouring of love and support had not only lifted Leah from the depths of despair but had also reaffirmed the power of compassion within the hearts of Eureka. In the face of adversity, Leah Smith emerged as a bale of fire, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The locals, appalled by the actions of Fidel's family, rallied to her aid, helping her secure legal representation to fight for what was rightfully hers. Through the hurricane of difficulties, Leah and her children found a new home among the compassionate hearts of Eureka. The community's generosity and solidarity proved that sometimes, in the darkest moments, the light of human kindness can shine the brightest. Fidel's family was arrested, faced court but later released, and only asked to return all assets to Leah, as the marriage was legal and had produced children who could not be ignored by law, and they were also asked to pay a huge fine. Richard, as he could not get his way with this act, he vouched to make Leah and her children pay for it and promised Leah that it wasn't over, he will be back for what belongs to him. And this is the end. Now let's talk about this story in the comments section. Could you relate to this story? What did you learn from the story? How true is the saying, an apple does not fall far from its tree? Do you know someone that went through something similar? Was Fidel's family right? Or did the law apprehend wrongly? Why was Fidel different from his family? What do you think Leah should have done from the start? Lastly, does this deserve a part 2? Please, if you enjoyed the story, give it a thumbs up, and kindly subscribe for more.